Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the TB&J podcast. With me today, as always, is Troy Brittingham.
As always, and you're Jeff.
I am Jeff Ackerman. If I sound a little different, it's because I lost my voice over the weekend, and it's taking its sweet fucking time coming back. So right now, I've just got this Bing Crosby baritone. I don't hate it, but sometimes it cuts out a little bit.
It's okay for like a radio voice. It gets there.
Yeah. It'll get you there.
Yeah, you have to. I feel like you have to put a little bit of work into it, but not too much.
Just put a little pepper on it. Put a little pepper on it.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to the TB&J podcast. Coming to you live from 101.67354. Everything that rocks.
The Guardians of the Galaxy.
Mine's better.
You have to put some. Can you do it? But you have to put a pause for like a while.
The Guardians of the Galaxy.
You lost it a little bit at the end. Yeah, a little scratchy at the end.
Of the Galaxy.
Should we hit the intro?
Yeah.
TB&J!
Starring Chris Pratt,
Christopher Pratt,
Bradley Cooper,
Bradison Cooperson,
Vincent Diesel,
TB&J!
Gamora,
TB&J!
Karen Gillian.
It's Zoe Saldana, by the way.
Yeah, I know. I was being an asshole.
Sylvester Stallone.
Sly Stallone. Kevin Bacon.
Not Miley Cyrus, who was in Guardians 2. Did you know that?
I did. I don't remember what she was, though.
She was Mainframe, the floating robot head, the one that looks like the Cyberman head.
Oh, yeah?
Now it's Tara Strong.
Right.
She has maybe 2 lines in both movies.
Yeah. I mean, it's such a small part.
Yeah.
Like, you don't even realize it's Miley in the second movie until you do, like, a double take. You're like, wait, what?
Mm-hmm.
Is that Miley Cyrus? Anyway, so if you're new around here, we do things a little bit weird. We always start everything off with a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Did we like it? Did we hate it? That's the majority of that bit. And then we discuss what we liked about the project, what we didn't like about it, and then we usually give a more specific letter grade equivalent to like a out of 5 stars kind of thing at the end to summarize. So, Troy, thumbs up, thumbs down on Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 3, directed by James Gunn.
Thumbs up.
With cameos by most of the cast of of Peacemaker.
Yeah, there's a few that aren't cameos.
No, they're not cameos.
The main villain is
they're the actors from Peacemaker. I should say it's not cameos. Thumbs up. There are very few movies in the world where I will go from bawling my fucking eyes out to laughing hysterically and then right back to crying within the span of 2 hours.
Mm-hmm. This is actually, it's not even maybe. It's definitely the hardest I have actually cried at a Marvel movie for sure.
Yep, same. Absolutely. Fuck Endgame. Didn't cry at all, actually, during Endgame.
Well, Endgame is more of the anti-cry.
Infinity War, then?
Well, no. Well, Endgame
Infinity War was the first one.
Has Iron Man. Iron Man and Infinity War. Or not Endgame.
And Captain America, kind of, sort of.
Yeah, but that's a little bit less. He just became Joe Biden. Which is kind of a fate worse.
That's Jesus Christ.
I'm kidding.
Sorry, President Biden.
Kind of kidding, but mostly kidding.
Kind of kidding, but also, Joe Biden. Better than Trump. Leave it at that.
That's yeah. But yeah, this movie definitely fucking cranks it up quite a bit.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
A lot of animal abuse.
Dude, what the fuck?
You know, they really the one thing I do like about this movie is that they have decided for once in like a long time to just be like, what if we just did like a real piece of shit irredeemable like evil villain?
Yeah.
They don't have like there's
And
no.
I'm so glad. We had this discussion a long time ago on the podcast, how you really wanted just like good guys, bad guys. We were sick of like the shades of gray.
I'm not sick of it. It just doesn't need to be every time.
Right. This was very much, yo, this guy sucks.
Yeah, the high evolutionary is not somebody who you could look at and be like, I kind of see where he's coming from. He from step one is just like he comes out the gate and you're just like, oh, this guy fucking blows hard ass.
Yeah. This guy fucking sucks.
And they employed the genius strategy of just having him just wail on puppies for literally like 2 hours of runtime.
Dude, they really fucking did. Like, they were like, how do we make this guy completely irredeemable? Oh, I've got a wonderful idea. Let's have him literally beat and kill innocent animals. The one thing that they tell you in Hollywood to never do is kill the dog. And guess what? He killed so many animals.
Oh, this movie checks a lot of boxes on doesthedogdie.com.
Oh, God, I can only imagine.
Do you know about doesthedogdie.com?
I do.
Yeah, it's just a list of like different triggers that people have. It used to just be for the dog, and then they added everything. And this movie hits a lot of things that people like. This is definitely the most PG-13 of all the Marvel movies. It doesn't. And I don't. There's a lot of like discourse right now about like parents being like, oh, it's too much. Like it's like it's still a Marvel movie.
Yeah,
it's not like I mean, it is kind of brutal in certain regards, but it's not like if I walked across the aisle and snuck into Evil Dead Rise, they're not going to be the same level of movie.
Also, the first F-bomb in the MCU, my guy.
I didn't know that until I started looking at a bunch of reviews. I was like, did they really never say it? And I thought about, like, I tried to think of every Samuel L. Jackson scene.
I saw that headline before the movie came out. Mm-hmm. It was like, Guardians 3 will have the first MCU F-bomb. And I'm just like, no, this must be like rage bait, clickbait kind of thing. There's no way they let James Gunn put an F-bomb
It's interesting.
in an MCU movie.
I went the opposite way. I was like, no, they had to have said it before.
No.
That's so interesting.
No.
And it's funny because they don't use it. It's not very, like, impactful. It's just kind of a throwaway joke.
Open the fucking door. And I'm just, open the fucking car door. That's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, dude, it happened. Like, I knew it was in there somewhere going into the movie. I was expecting it to be like, oh, maybe Rocket gets like an F-bomb when he's like super upset.
Well, every Guardian is like, these are definitely the characters that can throw out these words.
Absolutely. And just fucking the fact that
we say that as if it's like a fucking naughty word. We say fuck every episode 900 times.
No, but we definitely don't give a shit. I'm a very foul-mouthed man. I
just like that we're dancing around it.
Yeah, as my father would say, I swear like a sailor on leave. But it's just like a throwaway line, almost like a joke, while Nebula's trying to open the car door, which it's like a fucking like Chevy Impala from like 83. It's like the dumbest old car they could have found. The windows have like that dirt crusted on them, and I'm just like, oh my God. Seeing that car brought me back to like my childhood. And I was like, all right, Gunn, you need to calm down. We know you love the 80s a lot, but you need to calm down, my guy. It was really fun seeing all of the big cast of Peacemaker in there. Fucking Nathan Fillion showing up as the boss of the security. You got fucking his James Gunn's wife, who's like the head of security, and fucking obviously Chuck Woody as the fucking bad guy.
Yeah.
Oh man, this was a really fucking amazing time.
It does have, and I've seen a lot of complaints about this, and it's not. It is one of my favorite Marvel movies post Endgame. Its competition is really just Spider-Man, No Way Home, and Doctor Strange. Those are the only two that compete with it right now, I think.
Doctor Strange is so like hot and cold on the internet.
People are like, it's either the most amazing movie or it fucking blows.
It was definitely the creepiest and scariest Marvel movie.
I think at this point, I just want them to be kind of weird and unique, like. And
I'm just sick of the same fucking thing every time.
Well,
you know?
That's the whole thing is that like, and I've always been saying this, is that not all Marvel movies are the same thing every time. Like there are some that sneak through, like Winter Soldier's a good example, but at the same time, there's a lot of them that are like, I mean, like a lot of like Ant-Man stuff or middle Iron Man movies, Thors that aren't Ragnarok.
Very formulaic.
Yeah, and this has some Marvel formula because it's a Marvel movie, of course, but it definitely is like this is definitely like, and Guardians has always been sort of the weird one. And it suffers a little bit from the fact that, like, Thor is now also doing this, and that, like, you have Captain Marvel and the Marvels is coming out, and they're kind of doing this type of stuff. Like, sort of space comedy romps is leaning into other things now when it used to just be the Guardians that got to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I still think that they do it the best, judging from this movie. I don't know if I loved the first half of it, but then by the second half, it was like it finds its stride because it's not a flawless movie. With all that being said,
No, certainly not.
there's one complaint I saw that I was trying to get onto, and I got to sidetrack. There's way too many characters. There's a fuck ton of characters.
There's so many fucking people in this movie.
And I think that they were able to get through everybody's story very, very well. This really does wrap up everybody pretty neatly. My one big negative, and a big negative online right now, is they kind of waste Adam Warlock a little bit.
Oh, yeah. You introduced this character who can basically not die.
Yeah.
And he's got crazy, almost Superman-level powers. And he's basically like a throwaway joke every time he shows up.
Yeah,
just because they keep playing him up to be this big idiot.
Will Poulter does a good job. I just don't think that they gave him a whole lot to do in the script. A lot of people are saying that it really feels like they made the full movie, and James Gunn looked at the script, and somebody walked in and just went, you teased Adam Warlock at the end of the second one, right? And he went, fuck, and then just took out a pen. Yeah, they hint at his because he comes out of a cocoon.
Right.
So I think they show
with all the Prometheans, not Prometheans,
the
Sovereign.
Yeah.
I got my Mass Effect words mixed up. Promethean, Sovereign.
Yeah, but they show his cocoon. I think they just show his cocoon. I don't think they show him. But
I think they may have shown like the jewel in his forehead or something.
Like
that sounds familiar now that you say it.
Yeah, so it really feels like they're like, yeah, we need to use Adam Warlock for this. You teased him, and he's like, fuck.
Is Adam Warlock ever a Guardian?
Yes.
Okay, so that is real?
Yeah, he's a little bit more kind of like Shakespearean, high and mighty, like kind of like more powerful in the comics.
I kind of expected him to be with a name like Adam Warlock with like the backstory. Because it seems like he was created like Adam, like I was thinking like Adam and Eve, because you've got the high evolutionary who's creating them. So
well, I think he's Adam Adam.
Yeah,
but
he is Adam Adam.
Yeah.
So is Adam in the
Bible.
Adam.
For some reason I was thinking Atom.
No, I went with religion.
Gotcha.
That was what I thought they were referencing.
Right. Yeah, it sort of is. I don't know if that's like specifically what they're referencing, but I don't know.
It's comics. Somebody's referencing Jesus somewhere.
But he's sort of in the comics. If they used him comic version, I think he's a little too powerful to put on like a team in a movie. And I think it's one of the same reasons that James Gunn's been very open about like, I'm so glad that Taika kind of wrote Thor out of the Guardians in Love and Thunder, because he's like, I kind of didn't want to use Thor because Thor is like
crazy powerful.
He's unmanageable in a team like Guardians of the Galaxy. He fits in Avengers where everybody's crazy powerful, but Star-Lord has rocket boots and guns.
Yeah, that's kind of it.
Yeah.
And then Rocket Raccoon is just very, very smart with guns and technology. You have the tree guy. Yep. You have Drax, who's just big and strong. No real powers to speak of.
I mean, Drax is pretty powerful, though. Drax is probably the most powerful on the team.
Drax is powerful. I think he just hits hard, and it takes a lot to bring him down. And that might just be because of his like home planet. I think he's just a super strong alien person. I don't think he has like supernatural abilities. Sure, I don't think he's an actual superhero.
Him and Groot are definitely pretty far above everybody else in terms of just powers.
In terms of like just raw strength, yeah, I think that might be pretty accurate to say.
Nebula's pretty strong too, actually.
But again, Nebula's all cybernetics.
Yeah.
She's like Cyborg, but
Yeah,
with a lot more
of
trauma.
Them, like I said, none of them are Thor, and Adam Warlock is kind of Thor.
Yeah.
So I think that they kind of kept him to mostly a villainous role, and then, but still kind of powered him down overall. So eventually they can use him maybe in the future.
Yeah, maybe. Still interesting.
Big plus. First off, obviously, if you've seen the movie, they even
if
say
you haven't, why are you listening?
They even say it in the movie. It's sort of Rocket's movie, and Rocket's unconscious for 50% of it.
Yeah,
more like 70% of it. But he is like It's an insane performance. It's heartbreaking. He doesn't really have a ton of jokes in this movie. It's a very
very serious, very like
the movie starts and it's the Creep cover and
it's not a cover.
It's not the
it's Radiohead. It's just acoustic.
Thank you. Yeah.
They did an acoustic
version. That's
and I thought my first thought when that started was, is that the F-bomb? They're just gonna have Rocket sing "You're so fucking special" because that's the lyric of Creep. But then it's because the acoustic version he says "You're so very special." Tom York edits himself in the acoustic version for whatever reason, and I was like, okay, they're not gonna drop the F-bomb here.
Yeah,
but it's funny you mention all that because I follow James Gunn on Twitter. Obviously, he's fucking amazing. Apparently, Rocket has like always been the main character of the Guardians movies.
Yeah, if you look back at all of them post this movie, you can kind of be like, yeah, it actually kind of makes sense.
I've always viewed them as just like an ensemble,
sure,
like starring. I never viewed it as like one main character, and if I did, I probably would have said Star-Lord because
sure.
that's
Star-Lord is the focus character. Yeah,
yeah, but now he's like, no, it's always been Rocket's story because Rocket's been my favorite. I wanted to do a whole thing about Rocket, so the Guardians Volume 3 is just a love letter to Rocket Raccoon, the character. And I'm like, what? It's a brilliantly worded letter. It's fucking phenomenal. It really puts you in Rocket's metaphorical shoes as he's just a tiny little pup raccoon who gets experimented on, and then he has friends. He grows up in the fucking lab, all the way up to his very, very traumatic and dramatic escape. Like it's fucking intense all the way through. And goddamn, like you said, I've never cried harder at a Marvel movie, or maybe at any movie.
I've definitely cried harder at movies.
I've never cried that hard in the theater.
Okay.
That was a first for me. I cry at basically every movie I watch, even if it's just like a little bit, like a tear, or I get choked up, just because I'm an emotional bitch.
Sure.
But I openly wept. I openly sobbed during this movie. It was just free-flowing tears down my face. My wife was looking at me like, are you insane? And I'm just like, Rocket, and he saw Lila again in the afterlife. Because I guess there's an afterlife. All right, James Gunn, I thought you were on the atheist side of things, but apparently not.
It's good for movies.
Yeah, I know. It was fine.
I mean, technically, we know of like 9 different afterlives in this series, so.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, the one big plus I will give, you said that obviously like the person that it's almost a reveal that Rocket's the main character, and you know everybody thinks it's Star-Lord and everything.
Sure.
I will say this, as I've been open before that basically every time we see Star-Lord on screen, I kind of like him less. He's great in 1. He's okay in 2. He kind of abandons his friend to like be with his cool space dad, and he's kind of a dick a little bit, but you can like understand why. And then Infinity War, he just is so fucking dumb. And then Endgame, he's just kind of a character that's there for like a few scenes and just hits on the basically a clone of his dead girlfriend. This, first off, I think they handled the Gamora Star-Lord stuff extremely well. I was very, very worried about that going into it, that they were going to be like, and we get back together. And it's like, that's weird. This is not the same person. But they do that in pretty much probably not the way that I would do it. I'm not a filmmaker and not that good at it. But But also, this movie does a good job at reminding you, like Infinity War really, really, because it's not a James Gunn movie, really leaned into, yes, Star-Lord's like a fucking bumbling idiot.
Yeah.
And like, it's fine for that movie because there's so many characters, so they simplify a lot of people a little bit. But he's like really just like a fucking dumbass in those Avengers movies. And in this, he's really like, he goes back to being like, yeah, no, I'm like the schemer, I'm the planner, I like kind of have all these ideas. He like gets them in and out of a bunch of heists. He like has like some emotional intelligence, and I think that like it looped around to like I kept liking him less and less and less, and I think this is my favorite Star-Lord movie.
Yeah. No, this is a really fucking good one. Starts off with him being just a belligerent drunk yelling at Raccoon for taking his Zune.
That is one complaint, is they don't go anywhere with his drinking thing. They make it seem like he's been drinking like that, and then they don't really
they do that, and it's fucking sad. And I was like, fucking Star-Lord, man. And then but Rocket gets gravely injured, and all of a sudden it's like, boom, I'm out.
It's go time.
It's go time. And then it's like, we got 48 hours to save his life. Let's fucking go.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's the thing you gotta remember. The whole movie takes place in the span of 2 days, so it's I guess feasible.
Yeah.
I could, like, even the worst alcoholic could probably withstand for 2 days.
Sure, it's just in that case though, it's like it's almost a weird thing to set up in the first place.
Yeah, it is kind of, I do agree with you there, but like there might have been a better way to show that he's been hurting about the Gamora thing.
Like I said before, it's a 2.5 hour movie.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff in this.
And they had a lot to do in 2.5 hours, and they like just barely did it. The pacing was a little too fast, I think.
There was a lot of stuff that could have potentially been cut. I actually don't think the pacing was that fast. I think that they do a lot of slow moments in this because they go for the more emotional stuff. There are a lot of stuff that could be cut that I don't necessarily want to be cut.
It's not necessarily that. I just mean like a lot of things happened very quickly and conveniently.
Sure.
Where it's like, oh, we need to find the corporation. Here it is. Let's go.
Sure, at the beginning for sure.
And then it's like, oh, we need to find the High Evolutionary. Oh, here he is. It's like you could just find him.
Mm-hmm.
Really? Like,
and that's sort of how I feel in the first half. I think it kind of gets better at a certain point. I think once they get done with like the jokes on sort of like the animal planet, I think that it starts picking up pretty dramatically after that and has much better pacing. And I mean, and that leads to the final conclusion. It's like the last act of the movie is really what I'm saying. It's more like the last third.
Yeah.
But somewhere in the middle is really when I was like, because I feel like I was hearing a lot about this movie and people being like, oh, Ant-Man and then this back to back. Like, I don't know about Phase 5. And then I feel like I saw the movie, and halfway through it, I was just like, oh no, I'm into this and it's super cool. And then I looked online and everybody was like, no, actually the movie's great. And I'm like, what happened to the fucking criticisms I was seeing?
I saw one. You want to hear it?
Go for it.
So one of them was arguing that Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is the death of cinema. And the ending proves it. And I'm like, okay. I was successfully rage baited. I clicked on the article. So the guy was angry that a lot of things happened in Guardians 3 that didn't necessarily get explained unless you watched the holiday special.
Sure.
Which was only available on Disney+. And then at the very end of the movie, after the last end credits scene where Pete's there with Grandpa Quill, it says Star-Lord will return.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, cool. He's not getting a movie, though. We know it's going to be a streaming service show. So I'm like, okay. Maybe, I mean,
he'll also probably be in like an Avenger at some point.
Maybe, but like a lot of the Avengers are kind of gone.
Sure.
And they're getting replaced with like the young Avengers who are coming in.
Right, but
and that's kind of the whole point of Phase 5, I thought, right?
Yeah, but at some point there's going to be a movie called like Avengers 5 or Avengers 6 something subtitle. And you know, eventually they're all going to get together and fight, I guess, Kang. Like, they haven't really set up Kang yet.
I guess if Jonathan Majors
that's another thing.
is available
that's
and he's not in jail.
Thing. Yeah, there's a hard chance if anything happens and they're like, oh no, Kang's here, and then like a hole blasts through his chest, and he's like, "I'm actually Doctor Doom, and I'm a bad guy."
Or they do the Iron Man route. They just recast him.
That could be another
And
thing.
they just do like a throwaway line where it's like, "You're here, and I didn't think you'd
well,
be here."
he's unfortunately, and I like Jonathan Majors if he doesn't suck.
Great actor. It's a shame he beats his wife, allegedly.
Yeah, but I like his acting. He seems like an easy character to recast because it's multiverse stuff, and they can just be like, he just looks different in this universe.
Yeah.
Or even they could just be like, in this universe, I don't know, there's some technology and he changes his face.
I don't think Bill Cosby's doing anything right now.
I don't think that they're gonna put him in.
You don't think?
I don't think so.
They're not gonna
too
cast
old. It's because he's too old.
A nearly 100-year-old disgraced comedian
I don't think so.
who's
He is
in the middle of
He is
staging
on
a
tour
comeback
right
tour.
now.
Yeah,
He is on tour, or
yeah.
he's about to go on tour at least. God damn! Could you imagine explaining to somebody that you're going to a Bill Cosby show?
I have a coworker who wants to go.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't need to imagine.
All right.
I've lived it.
Well,
I've heard somebody try to justify it, where it was like, yeah, but that was so long ago, and I'm just like, he still raped a couple women.
that's not a thing that's. We should talk about fucking Guardians.
The same person also defends R. Kelly
Okay. All right.
and Kanye.
All right. Sounds good. Well, Kanye, it's fine because he doesn't hate Jewish people anymore because he watched 21 Jump Street.
It's a real thing he said, isn't it? Who's crazier, you think, Kanye or Antonio Brown?
No, it's Kanye. I thought about it for a split second, and it was an easy.
Oh, my God. Anyway, back to the things we like. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, please.
You don't like Kanye?
So, do you think there's a point there, though, where, like, Disney is moving away from this big cinema experience? They're going more for the Disney Plus.
Well, I don't think that they're moving away from the cinema experience because I think that we're on the back end of like everybody goes to the theaters now and like nobody's wearing a mask in the theater that I was in and stuff like that. And
yeah, but theaters aren't
me.
filled the way they used to.
No,
be.
sure.
And things come out on streaming very quickly.
Yeah,
it's like a month or less until something is on streaming after it premieres at the theater.
So this is maybe going to be my most naive statement ever on the podcast.
I can't wait to hear it.
I don't think that we'll ever be in a position where the industry of movie theaters necessarily ever like fully dies out, at least in our lifetime.
Sure.
I think that sort of the prestige of it is like too like ingrained in the like sometimes like baseball refused to put a review cam in the sport for like decades, and you're like, because it's tradition, and you're like, but it's better the other way. I think that, and I truly think that movies are better than the theaters. But I think it's also sort of like this archaic thing that's like ingrained into the thing, where like a bunch of old Hollywood people are like, no, you have to see movies in the theater. And, like, as long as fucking Christopher Nolan's alive, he'll never fucking put anything on streaming first.
Oh, dude, I saw the trailer for Oppenheimer before Guardians. They're doing a fucking 70mm release for that shit. Oh, God, I'm so excited. I want to see it.
It's the Barbie double feature that come out the same day. Have you not seen these memes?
No, they don't.
They don't?
Oppenheimer comes out this fall. Barbie comes out in July.
I think that they come out pretty similar, though.
No.
People were joking around about seeing a double feature Barbie Oppenheimer.
Oh, wait. Oh, shit. Wait a second. Wait a second. Oh, no. Are you right? Oh, no. Oh, no. You're right.
Yeah, people are saying it's the perfect double feature.
You're right.
You see Oppenheimer Barbie.
Barbie's runtime is an hour 40?
Yes, it is.
That's it?
Yes, it is.
Oh, I kind of love it, though.
I'm all about it. Everything I've heard about the Barbie movie has made me like the Barbie movie more. I want to see it real bad.
Oh, man. Oppenheimer's coming in at 2:30. Of course it is.
Yeah.
It's a fucking Nolan movie.
Dude, that's actually short.
Yeah, that's short for a Nolan movie.
3:30 is a normal Nolan movie. But Guardians.
Yeah. Back to Guardians.
So the other thing is, this movie being a movie.
We are gonna cover Barbie, right?
Yeah.
please. All right.
Yeah.
Good.
But this
I'm actually very excited. For
I'm
Barbie.
very
It
excited
looks
for
really
Barbie.
good.
But this movie having 900 characters in the cast does help it in one sphere of it. Is it's a very kind of like. I feel like it has some kind of like obviously it has like the teamwork makes you win like kind of vibes, but it also has I feel like it has a little bit more of like kind of a like almost a collectivist kind of slant versus kind of the individualist who kind of wants everything his way.
Yeah.
Sort of vibes to it. There's a lot of like community building, kind of everybody helping each other out, aspect of like nowhere. Even a little bit in some of the experiments of the fucking brutally tragic characters of Layla Teefs and Floor.
Lila, Teefs, and Floor.
Mm-hmm.
Like that man.
Literally, dude. The fucking
Floor was scary looking. For the record,
no, Floor
terrified me.
Floor
when I
is
saw her.
straight up like the baby spider thing from Toy Story 1.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
But also, dude, literally, Floor yelling over and over again, Rocket Teef's Floor leave now over and over again, is like fucking ingrained in my brain now. That and Rocket actually like scream crying are like the two things where I'm just like genuinely I'm like I like keep thinking about that type of like
the fact that the scream cry didn't get cut short. They just let it go.
That's like a thing about this movie is that everything in these emotional scenes runs long, and it's a rare thing that Marvel has, I think, been getting better at sometimes. Every now and then they still screw it up, but it's not undercut by a joke. And you can argue like the High Evolutionaries kind of like wah you like you win the crime.
That wasn't funny.
That's not a joke.
That was
though.
just infuriating.
Yeah, that's more like, oh, I really want this guy fucking dead. It's straight up is, and I think he's a great villain. I think my one issue with him is that they don't really ever come up with an explanation for like why he's specifically obsessed with making them animal people. He could just be a furry. Who knows? Like,
well, it was only for that particular round.
Sure.
Because the people that he was working on currently, like in the spaceship, were humans, or at least human-looking.
Yeah, but there's still like the pig, the battle pig or whatever they call her.
War pig.
Mm-hmm. But like there's like the octopus person.
Yeah, they were residents of the animal planet.
Sure.
They weren't like necessarily part of the cages of people he was trying to evolve into the next world.
Sure.
But like I think animals.
I mean, they did it because Rocket is a raccoon.
Yeah, I think that may have been his fixation on animals for a long time because he kept trying to recreate Rocket because Rocket was unique because Rocket could think greater and have his own creative thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, because he makes that point in the movie, like verbatim, where he says, all of these things I'm creating are just really good at memorizing whatever, and they're good at rapid recall or physical evolution, but they don't have original creative thoughts. And the second a civilization doesn't have those, we cease. We will wither and die.
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, is a really good argument against AI. Just saying.
But I mean, with the writer's strike, we're gonna get some AI movies. That'll be pretty cool.
I fear the day that you can sit down at your computer and go to DisneyAI.com and type in whatever movie you want to watch, and the AI will create it. The AI won't just write it. It will create whatever you want to entertain yourself, and that is what you will have. They will create the renders of the actors and the scenes you want and the story you want, and they will play it for you. That is the fucking future, and it terrifies the shit out of me.
I don't know if I mean I don't want to underestimate the growth of technology. I don't know if that's necessarily a thing that will be possible at least sometime soon.
I sincerely doubt that.
All right.
ChatGPT has made leaps and bounds in just the fucking within the 12 months it's been around.
Sure. There are a bunch of people reporting that it eventually will kind of hit a wall soon of like the amount of stuff that it can actually like learn for a while until they make another like big jump. But I have no expertise on any of this stuff, so I don't know.
I think this shit is like DNA, where everyone was like, it's going to take hundreds of years to crack the code, and this one fucking guy was like, nah, as soon as you figure out one segment, give it less than 10 years.
Sure.
We'll have it figured out. I think it's going to be like that.
I do think with the writer's strike, we are going to see at least one AI-generated movie that hits theaters. AI-generated in the sense
AI
of like,
written?
AI written. And I will be honest, it excites me in a morbid way of like, I know that there's just gonna be one fucking movie that comes out and fucking blows, and I kind of want to see it for that. I only want there to be one. I want there to be one, maybe like cap 3 of them. No more, no less.
I want to see it out of a sense of morbid curiosity,
Yes.
but I refuse to pay a fucking penny for it.
That's also a good point.
I will go on Pirate Bay. I will steal that shit. I don't give a fuck. You go ahead and pull this audio and give it to Comcast or whoever the fuck you think my internet provider is. It's probably Comcast. It's Comcast or Verizon. Flip a coin. But like I will not give them a penny.
Sure.
I don't want them to think anybody wants this.
No, I want it to come out. I do want it to crash and burn and for everybody to fucking hate it. Unfortunately, like the fucking blue check Elon stands will love it no matter what it is. They'll be like, oh, it's an AI movie. Like, oh, look out Hollywood, and you'll look at like fucking weird, like everybody's gonna have like the worst fucking lines.
I love the armchair people on Twitter who are like, these uppity writers, they think they have it, they don't have it good enough.
Oh my fucking god, dude!
Cave, write the shit. And it's like, shut. You don't know what it's like.
So
shut the fuck up.
So this is the segment where we talk about the writer's strike because it is something that technically reaches into our sphere.
Guardians B.
Um,
Give it a letter, and then we could do the WGA.
I'm gonna say Guardians. I'm gonna say Guardians A. It has a lot of problems. It has.
It's got problems, but nothing that can't be just brushed over because the rest of it carries so well.
It genuinely is a thing where I, about halfway through the movie, was sort of compiling a list of problems. And then at a certain point in time, it wasn't that those problems went away or that there wasn't even problems in the second half of the movie. I was just like, it's doing so well and is doing so many things that Marvel just doesn't do that much ever. I was going to say anymore, but just ever. And really, like, it's a testament to these characters that, like, one thing I did want to mention, when they figure out that Rocket's okay, they have, like, a genuine moment, and Mantis says the exact line of Rocket, I want you to know that we love you and that we're glad you're okay.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, genuinely it was, like, every single time that there's, like, a this is not a fake out death, but, like, anytime there's like a character that like they think could die and isn't dead in really any action movie, not even this, it's always like kind of like a quip. And this was like genuinely, I'm just like, oh yeah, no, they're like a family and they like really care about each other.
They made that point many times over the course of the movie. Like
Mm-hmm.
the Guardians are a family. They love each other and they will genuinely do anything for each other.
They also, there's a big complaint going around online that they like bicker too much in this movie and that they're like always yelling at each other. I don't think it's that much more than the other ones though.
Yeah, that's
It's
kind
more-
of part
it's-
of the charm.
Mm-hmm.
They bicker like my Italian family bickers whenever we have like a get-together event where we're sitting down and eating.
Yeah, the only time it gets a little much is maybe like Nebula towards the end, but that's on purpose, and that they basically, Drax and Mantis basically tell her, like, no, shut the fuck up. Like, actually, like, it's you're being mean. And then Nebula goes, yeah, you're right. I'm being mean, and you guys are worth being on the team. Like it's like the whole arc in the second half there for her. But they like people have been complaining that they like bicker and argue too much, and it's like, yeah, but they always do that, and it's more in this movie in the sense that it's longer than the other two. But I don't think that it's really that much more than normal. And I don't think that any of it's really unwarranted, especially like the Gamora stuff, because Gamora they put in this movie, and she's like kind of a dick.
Yeah, she's a lot of dick.
New Gamora like sucks on purpose.
Yep.
But yeah, I think it's a pretty mature Marvel movie. It's definitely a very, very sad and it's the darkest Marvel movie for sure. And
I don't know if it's the darkest necessarily. I do think Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange's competition.
It's certainly traumatic and very sad.
Yeah.
And it is a little dark. It's definitely dark for sure. I don't know if I'd say it's the darkest. But it's definitely in the top 2 or 3 if it's not the darkest.
They did shoot a rabbit.
They shot a rabbit and a walrus and an otter. So, yeah.
I don't know. They're different types of dark. I don't know. It's hard to say.
Yeah. I mean, fucking, what's her name? Elizabeth Olsen, Scarlet Witch, having to like confront her children and her own like life and have to put an end to that after like selfishly trying to just get her kids back. What fucking parent can't relate to that?
Are you kind of amazed that nobody dies in this movie?
Yeah, I was going to point that out. They went the whole movie with keeping all the Guardians alive. Nobody died. And then most of them just retired or went off and did their own thing for a minute. Star-Lord will be back, apparently. And then obviously the Guardians are going to come back because they have to. They're going to keep coming up in Marvel things. But
here's
this
a question.
time we've got Captain Rocket and we've got Lieutenant fucking Sean Gunn with his arrow. Kraglin. I always forget his character's name. I just know it's Sean Gunn. But Sean Gunn, the new little girl.
I don't. That character does have a name. I just don't know it.
She does. It's something Vel. It's Mar-Vel's kid in the comics.
Yeah.
I think it's like Tara Vel or something, or Lena Vel or something. But it's supposed to be Captain.
This is a weakness of not having D on the podcast. I feel like D would know it.
Yeah, but I was actually reading this like this morning, doing research for the podcast. But yeah, so apparently in the comics, it's supposed to be Captain Marvel's kid, because Captain Marvel was named Mar-Vell. I don't know if that's you remember that.
Yep.
And then
dies of cancer.
Yeah, dies of cancer, and then this kid is supposed to become the new Marvel. But since Captain Marvel has a completely different origin and backstory and all that, I don't know if they're gonna.
I mean, they did kind of show at the very end that she has sort of Captain Marvel-y powers. She has like kind of energy.
Her hands
stuff.
were very glowy. So we don't know. And one eye was like super duper blue and glowy, and one eye was not. So it's weird.
We have Cosmo.
Oh yeah,
dog.
Cosmo the space dog, and Adam. Adam Warlock
and Groot.
Of course.
Who's big and chunky now.
Big and chunky.
Big chunky boy Groot.
He's been filling up on his creatine and protein bars.
I was very happy that in the very beginning they like blew him apart, and then I was like, oh no, are we gonna go back to Baby Groot again? Like, I don't mind Baby Groot, but like, are we gonna do Baby Groot again? And then they very, very quickly were like, no, he's back normal. And I'm like, okay, thank God. I don't know if I could have done a full Groot reset again.
Yeah. So this movie did okay for firing James Gunn in the middle of it and then rehiring him back on.
Well, it was more before it. It wasn't really in the middle of this one, I don't think.
I believe it was.
I mean, the firing was a while ago.
2018. But a lot of this movie got iced because of COVID.
COVID, yeah.
So this movie was supposed to be out, I think, a year or two ago.
Right.
But then I'm reading it right now. A day after he signed on for the Suicide Squad in October 2018, after being fired in July of that year, he was politely notified by Disney that he could return as director for Volume 3.
Yeah. Thank man, they're saints.
Yeah. Apparently they were impressed with how he handled being fired. So they were like, you know what? You can have your job back. Screw those old tweets about from the jokes.
Good guy Disney.
Yeah,
Gotta love
good
'em.
guy Disney.
Gotta love him. Gotta love that mouse.
All right, so that's it for Guardians. You want to talk about Writers Guild a little bit more?
Yeah, great movie. Watch it.
Yeah, Writers Guild real quick. There's a couple things I wanted to point out.
Yeah.
First of all, one of the biggest things the writers are striking for is the incomparable pay between writing for a streaming show versus writing for a television show.
And as everybody knows, basically all the absolute best TV shows in the last 10 years have all been streaming.
Exactly, and that's the thing. So, like, writers are pissed off that you get paid more for writing for a network on TV versus writing for a network on streaming, when we as the consumer really don't see a difference and are kind of migrating towards streaming anyway. So they're like, the market's there, the people are there, pay us the same because it's the same work. We just do it on a different network. So I completely agree with them there. Another one of the big points I was reading about is they want a guarantee that Hollywood will not use AI to replace them.
Yeah.
And that's one of the big ones that Hollywood is not compromising on. And I say Hollywood, but I believe the big executive companies that keep getting named and shamed over and over are Disney and Netflix, specifically. So it's...
Well, Netflix really wants to. Netflix already has done a few things. They had like an anime with like a fully AI-generated backgrounds.
Yeah, I think that was a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So like they really want to lean into the AI stuff, which I don't know why they're doing this. Netflix used to be the juggernaut of streaming, and then they announced they were cracking down on password sharing, and now they're doing they've had a fucking long ass history of canceling shows people love.
Yeah, they're trying really hard to kill themselves.
They're doing a real big WWE heel turn.
Yeah.
And I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems fucking bonkers. And fucking don't even get me started on fucking HBO.
You mean Max?
That's right. Max. As of May 23rd, it is Max.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking
the worst name. Unrecognizable.
The worst fucking name.
I mean, my brother's name is Max, but my brother's not a streaming service.
No, your brother's a human fucking being. He's not an app on my phone or an app on my Xbox. Why? Who's doing that?
It's just... what a great name that doesn't tell you fucking anything about the product you're about to watch.
And then more bullshit streaming. Fucking Disney. Excuse my voice, guys. Remember, I lost my voice a few days ago. Disney. They've been removing stuff off their service in preparation with a merger between Disney and Hulu. Mm. They're owned by the same company, but they want to merge the apps. Even though they're going to be separate subscriptions, they want all the stuff in the one app.
Do we know so here's two questions. Do we know for a fact already, because this is a thing that I thought could have happened, but I don't know the details of this one. Do we know that it's not going to be like sort of like a Stars thing where you have like a connecting button that goes from one app to the other, or is it just they want to get rid of Hulu and make it Disney Plus basically?
Great question. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
Disney Plus and Hulu will soon be merging into a quote one app experience end quote, according to the Walt Disney Company, and this will mean a more reserved approach to content curation. Disney CEO Bob Iger announced the streaming app consolidation in a earnings call following a stock price drop.
Because I feel like if it's like a Stars and Hulu situation, it's not that big of a deal for me. But I feel like it'll be very weird to go into Disney Plus and see the fucking Handmaid's Tale sitting there, and also what happens to things like Animaniacs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's just fucking bonkers to me. It's just... And then the one thing that I remember very distinctly, when Disney Plus first came out, one of their ad campaigns, I swear to God I remember this, was no more Disney Vault. No more... Because that was a big thing when I was a kid. I would see ads before every VHS tape I had where it's like, get it now because it's out of the Disney Vault before it goes away forever and we'll never sell it again. And then they were like, Disney Plus, there is no vault. The door is open. Watch whatever you want, except for Song of the South.
Yeah.
But everything else is fair game.
And let's face it, everybody fucking complains about Song of the South. Let me watch Song of the South. It's fucking boring anyway, guys.
It's not good.
It's really not a good movie.
My dad owns a copy. I've watched it. It's not good.
Just listen to Zippity Doo-Dah. We get it. It's fine.
Yeah, the song is great.
Yeah.
But
it won an Oscar.
Yeah, but...
The guy who sang it wasn't allowed in the Oscars, but, it's it still won the Oscar. The song won, not necessarily the man. Disney got it, but
yeah. But I just, that was always a big selling point. No more Vault, watch wherever you want. And now it's like, no, we're going to cut back our content. We're going to lock some things behind premium subscriptions, or we're going to cut it out until the Hulu merger, and then we'll put it back in at a premium rate. It's like, stop nickel and diming us, you motherfuckers. How much more fucking money do you need? You're already one of the richest corporations in the whole world. You own everything entertainment as far as kids are concerned. Knock it off! I get angry when capitalism rears its ugly head. That's it.
Yeah, but you were talking before we gave letter grades about people who are like shitting on like the Hollywood writers and everything like that. It's like and there's so many people who have had the bonkers take of being like, everything's a reboot and a remake anyway. Why does it, or like a sequel? It's like, what? It's like they aren't having any creativity. Like, why would we need the writers anyway? It's like, yeah, that's a great fucking point. You know what won't help creativity? Not having any fucking writers trying.
Yeah,
to come
you
up with
dumb
any-
fucks.
And the creators will be like, oh, well, what do we? The executives will be like, oh, what do we do? I don't know. Maybe fucking we'll
Boot up
reboot
the
this.
AI and put on some new episodes of Seinfeld.
Yeah, you know, it's like really good way to not get anything new into the ecosystem. Get no writers.
Don't keep putting creative content into the ecosystem.
And there's some insane ones where like people like there's movies that like I've heard people bring up like The Revenant and stuff like that. Of people like, this movie doesn't even have that much dialogue, or like Mad Max, they're like, this movie doesn't have a whole lot of dialogue. Where is the writing? And it's like, do you not fucking understand what writing is? They don't just write what the characters say. It's like they write everything.
You dumb fucking.
You understand?
I'll channel my inner D. You big dumb hunk of shit. How fucking stupid do you have to be to not understand what a fucking screenwriter does? You dumb cunts.
There's a lot of people who are just like think that all writing.
If you are one of those dumb cunts, go fuck yourself.
But there's people who genuinely think that like writing is only like dialogue and characters, and it's like we're talking about Guardians this episode. Do you not understand?
We
that,
were?
Like, yes.
Oh man.
Do you not?
Where was I for that?
I have no idea.
Oh man.
But do you understand that like when they go into like the like when they go into, we didn't talk about like the big organy space station.
Yeah.
I forget what it's called, like the Orgosphere or something.
It's literally called the Orgosphere.
It is the Orgosphere. Okay.
I believe so, or the Orgo Center. It's Orgo something.
But they go to that, and like it's like you understand that like a writer wrote that on paper before they just made it. Like James Gunn didn't just like walk in and just go make it look like this, and then it happened. Like there's a lot of stuff that goes into writing.
People astound me with how fucking ignorant and stupid they are, and how proud they are to be ignorant and stupid.
Like I said, I'm excited for exactly one person to try to make an AI movie. Only one. No more.
I'm not. I don't want that Pandora's box opened.
Yeah.
I want it to stay shut, locked tight, with like an Abus V twin.
No, that's the correct take.
No, I want an Asa Abloy V twin lock on that. You guys don't know what that is, but that's like a super black belt lock on the lock picking subreddit.
Yeah, Jeff knows about lock picking. Anyway,
yeah, I can pick a lock, motherfucker.
Yeah, it's just bonkers. Anyway, nice way to end this podcast on a very negative note is fucking AI and writer strikes. But it is important though. It is
super important.
It's bullshit. They literally every movie you've ever watched, the writers are like 70-80% of that. Like, pay them, give them money.
Writers do so much more than you think they do.
And I was listening to them, like, if you listen to like their lists of demands, I don't have it on hand, but it's genuinely like you're like, it's really not that bad. They could honestly ask for more.
I've got their demands. You want to hear them?
Go for it.
Increase minimum compensation significantly to address the devaluation of writing in all areas of TV, new media, and features.
Yeah.
Standardize compensation and residual terms for features, whether related theatrically or on streaming.
Mm-hmm.
Address the abuses of mini rooms,
Mm-hmm.
which is just fucking terrible. Google that shit. We don't have time for it. Ensure appropriate TV series writing compensation throughout entire process of pre-production, production, and post-production. Expand span protections to cover all TV writers, not just head writers, all TV writers. Apply MBA minimums to comedy variety programs made for new media. Comedy writers historically get paid way less than drama writers. Increase residuals for undercompensated reuse markets. There you go. Restrict uncompensated use of excerpts. That seems very, very reasonable.
It's genuinely...
I'm halfway done.
Yeah.
Pension plan and health fund. Increase contributions to pension plan and health fund. Seems very straightforward.
I
Seems
wrote,
like the richest companies in the world can afford that.
Hey, I wrote half of Frozen 2, one of the highest grossing movies ever. Can I please have enough money to go to the doctor? No? Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, and then like the last little third here is just a couple bullet points where they just want to be treated like human beings and they want their jobs protected.
No.
Like it's genuinely fucking
They're honestly
insane.
Genuinely, there's a lot of people who are looking at it and it's like, these demands are insane. They're genuinely asking for like next to the bare minimum.
Yeah, they're asking for the companies to treat them like people, protect their jobs, and pay them like people.
Yeah.
How fucking dare they?
And it's Hollywood, so most of these people live in California,
where the cost of living is just exorbitantly high.
Mm-hmm.
You can be making like $400,000 a year in San Francisco and have to split a 1-bedroom apartment 3 ways to make it work. I'm grossly oversimplifying things. It's not quite that bad, I think, but like somebody making my level of money currently could not afford the apartment I live in now outside Philadelphia.
You and I would both be homeless.
Yeah, if we had worked for the salaries we have in like San Francisco, the Bay Area, LA, we would be homeless. Even though we are very good at what we do and we make pretty decent middle class salaries.
I have a pretty good job.
Yeah.
I'm pretty happy with it.
I'm very happy with my job. I'm about to get promoted.
Yep.
And that better come with a fucking big ass pay raise. It's just fucking ridiculous, man. And there's so many people in the Writers Guild that you don't know are in the Writers Guild. Fucking Seth Meyers from Late Night with Seth Meyers and SNL fame, he's in the Writers Guild because he was a fucking comedy writer on SNL for forever. Fucking Adam Conover from Adam Ruins Everything and College Humor, Writers Guild member. Most of the fucking online people I follow that make funny videos in America, they're in the Writers Guild because that's what they do. It blows my fucking mind that these rich motherfuckers on their thrones of money can't bring it to just treat their fucking writers like people.
Yeah,
and just pay them.
It's insane to meet somebody on the street. It's like, oh, what do you do for a living? It's like, oh, well, I actually worked on
Ted Lasso.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, or even bigger than that. If you're like
Stranger Things.
I worked on Stranger Things. I wrote a little bit of the script for Avengers Endgame, the biggest movie that's ever existed. And you're like, oh, so you must be rolling in it. And it goes, actually, no, I'm actually on my way to work at McDonald's right now.
Yeah,
at this very moment.
I'm on my way to go like run the register at Acme because oh shit, I need to make rent this month.
I do have a second job and I need it to survive.
Fucking ridiculous. All right,
anyway,
that's it for our rant on the WGA.
So this is an episode all about animal abuse and rampant capitalism. Have fun. Enjoy our entertainment podcast.
You know what's funny, Troy? I don't know if you didn't know this. You certainly didn't do this on purpose necessarily. Mm-hmm. Did you know today's election day?
Yeah.
Just thought I'd point that out.
Mm-hmm.
Philadelphia is trying to get a new mayor.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
I mean, it's now a little too late to say this, but just in general, in the future, vote for things.
So many fucking people I know, and they're people like that I work with and respect.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, today's election day. You guys gonna go, right? And they're like, nah, I don't vote. And I'm just like, what? our ancestors fought. Not our ancestors, Troy and I.
Sure.
Well, maybe some of yours actually. Because your mother is African American.
Sure.
But so many people fought for fucking decades, hundreds of years, to get the right to vote.
It's genuinely not that hard to do, not that time consuming, and genuinely I have never had a moment where I'm like, this sucks.
No.
I mean, I also live in a place where I'm kind of in and out and then do it. I will reveal that because of stuff today, I was not able to go out and do stuff today, and I genuinely kind of forgot a little bit. But overall, I tend to vote as much as possible.
I was unable because I worked a double at work today. Yeah. But it's just fucking just go vote. Why are we still recording?
I don't know.
Goodbye.